let's break down this whole Shaq and Nikola Jokic quote-unquote feud, and then him and Shannon Sharpe getting into it. Let me say off the rip that I actually respected Shaquille O'Neal for saying to Nikola Jokic's face that I think Shea should have won it. The reason why I'm saying that is because just before he interviewed, TNT interviewed Nikola Jokic when he got the MVP, Shaq was saying on the segment, hey man, I think Shea should have got it. So if he just started talking to Nikola, congratulating him, and didn't even mention that just before he was saying that Shea should have got it, to me that would have been disingenuous. So I actually appreciated him telling him, yo, look, this is how I feel. And Nikola handled it well. I don't think he took it the wrong way. He said, hey man, that's your opinion, I'm not going to judge. They laughed it off. And that was pretty much it to me.
He's the most dominant big man in the history of the game.
I know that
and
much, yes.
And he got one MVP. I've never professed. I've never professed that I was as great as Shaq. Shaq is the one that anytime someone wins an MVP, he talks about how he should have been the MVP over Steve Nash. Now, you guys have heard me speak glowingly. I say Travis Kelce is better tight end than I was. So was Gronk. So was Antonio Gates, Gonzo, Big Winslow. I'm cool. I got no problem. You know why I got no problem, Ocho, with giving people credit?
Right.
Because I got everything out of my God-given ability.
This is the crux of the argument. Shannon Sharpe is saying, look, Shaq, you're not happy with your whole career in its totality, and this is why you have a problem giving it up to somebody, especially at your position, winning these MVPs, because you feel like you should have deserved more. From Shaq's perspective, the way I'm looking at it, he's saying, forget my whole career in its totality. I'm just looking at this one specific moment where I felt like I worked hard enough and I deserved it at this juncture, at this time period when it was going on. Which is why when these MVP conversations keep coming up and he feels like somebody should have got it, he goes back to this one specific season. Now let's go to that season, that 04-05 season with Steve Nash and Shaquille O'Neal. This was really a two-man race in this year between Shaquille O'Neal and Steve Nash. As you see, no one really came close to both of these guys. I will say, I don't mind Steve Nash winning this one for the MVP because the year before, the Phoenix Suns, they had 23 wins. They all of a sudden signed Steve Nash. They didn't do anything too crazy to the roster outside of the main part, which was signing Steve Nash. They already had Mike D'Antoni there the year before. And they go from 23 wins all the way to 62. Nash averaged 15 points, 11 assists. Just a real great point guard for this whole system. And he changed it around. Miami Heat was already in the playoffs prior to Shaquille O'Neal coming. So I didn't mind this at all. But with that argument being made, it's very similar to the one I had in previous videos about Shea winning the MVP. Simply because OKC was not a playoff team. There wasn't a lot of expectations for them to even really be in the playoffs, let alone at the top of the West. This is why I understand people saying, man, Shea should have got it. And quickly to spin back on the Steve Nash thing, his second MVP is the one where I felt like, nah, maybe someone else should have got it, like a LeBron James. And interestingly enough, that second MVP that he got, it wasn't even close. Like, he was clearly the front runner over everyone. I always thought that was a little bit strange. If we also look at this year's voting, it wasn't that close either. Nikola Jokic was pretty much ahead of everyone. Shea was obviously second, but it wasn't that close looking at this. But for whatever reason, the voters obviously think, nah, Nikola Jokic is the main guy. It wasn't that much of a debate for them based off of these results. I will say too, you know, I'm thinking if Nikola Jokic comes back and averages what he's doing or similar to what he's done, and Denver is at the top of the conference, he's probably going to get, if not another MVP, more consideration again to get one. So it's going to be interesting if they get what they call voters fatigue or who else will pop up. I'm going to really pay attention to that.
If you're at your house, can you show me one of those MVP trophies that you stole from me?
Wasn't just Nikola Jokic. If Shaquille O'Neal has something to say, he's very honest about it. Doesn't mean you have to agree or like it. Everyone has different communication styles. Me personally, I like it more when somebody just says, hey, this is what I think, instead of just, you know, smiling in my face, whatever. Finally, to end this video, and this may be a hot take, but I want to tie everything back to what Shannon Sharpe was saying about Shaquille O'Neal not maximizing his talent. I would make the argument that the Shaquille O'Neal that won back-to-back championships and finals MVPs, if we're judging from that time period up until now, I don't think there was a greater player. But y'all tell me what you think. Again, I'm not talking the 90s, just from that time period up until now. If I had to judge somebody at their peak, I don't know if there was a greater player than that. Y'all tell me what you think in the comment section, what you feel about the video. Do you think Shaq is hating? Does he have a point? Also, do you think Nikola Jokic should have got MVP again? Let me know. I'm very interested. Peace and salute for listening.